We start the season with the Spithead Trophy, now based at Gosport, with several boat changes and other new boats on the circuit. The start gets underway in uncomfortable seas but bright skies. We see the Mistress powering through the start, making heavy going though. Cultured Vulture gets a good start. But the Mistress is beginning to slow as problems set in. Old boat, new name, simply the best, going well. The revamped Assegai is looking uncomfortable in these conditions. The Mistress is forced to retire with engine problems. C-18 are in point and C-56 Commodore Ferries are neck and neck on the offshore leg of the first lap, when Roy Smith in Commodore Ferries catches a big wave and cuts straight through, as we can see clearly on the slow motion replay. The all-new boat on the circuit is John Miller's Bat Boat, a wing and a prayer, ahead in 4 litre. The Mumford's Double M Music running well in the conditions, but later has to retire. It's monohull weather as the Bat Boat is flying well. Mercury Special, also going well, finishes 4th in 2 litre. Town and Country, driven by Mark Mulvaney, followed by R&R Motors with Robin Parrish and Tony Davis. Sweet As with Dave Sperling and John Ide. John Miller powers past at the start of the 3rd lap with newcomer Cliff Smith in Simply the Best close behind, but is shortly to retire. Assegai goes past and finishes 1st in Class 2. The first boat in 2 litre Commodore Ferries with Roy Smith and Adrian Carter. And then a close group in chase with Pete Little and Dave Arthur in their new boat City Offshore, staying with Jeff Purves and Scott Ellis in Thistle Hotels. Behind them, Dave Sperling and John Ide in C-81, Robin Parrish and Tony Davis in C-50, followed by C-18, Nigel and Tim Williams, who go on to finish 7th. A wing and a prayer on their last lap and looking good. On the next lap, D6 now just ahead of C27, C50 who finished 3rd and C81 who finished 6th. The 1.3 litre boat of Alan Leighton starts his season as he means to go on in spectacular style. And they're followed closely by City Offshore 2, Christian Auger and Patrick Mohan, who later had to retire. Adam Younger and navigator Bertie Brown in feline powerboats, having a steady race, finished 5th in 2 litre. C27 start their last lap and finish 2nd in 2 litre behind Commodore Ferries. John Miller and Adrian Jardine win the Spithead Trophy overall, which is a great debut for the new boat. This is a race organised by the Offshore Racing Drivers Association, and this year is the 70th anniversary of racing in Torbay. The boats gather in the harbour, and hired crowd control may be necessary. As we look into the navigator's position aboard King's Tyres, we can see that the course is several laps of Torbay, with one long eastern lap to Exmouth. The crews then make their way to the mustering area before the start.
The commentary will go something like, it's the infamous Dave Spurling.
And here's the infamous Dave Spurling. Jeremy and Alistair Watts hope to do better today. And as Chris Allenby locks the hatches on Assegai, they're now set for the start. The start boat sets them off, and the first interview is Assegai at 1:45, with Cultured Vulture on the far side, and both followed by Simply the Best. The second start is away, and all the boats head off for the first mark in relatively calm seas. At the end of lap 1, John Miller is leading comfortably. Followed by RNR Motors, Alexi, Thistle Hotels, RN Point, Double M Music and Penthouse. Alan Webb in Flippin' Shy Talk is next through, and close behind them is Mark Mulvaney, Roy Smith and Dave Spurling, who passes Colin Stoneman in Maxi Mailing. Pete Little and Dave Arthur have to run in their old boat as the new was damaged during the Southern Speed Trophy race 2 weeks before. Adam Younger going well. First through in 1.3 litre is Peter Wilson and Christine Grayson in 7 Up. Third is Christian Auger and Patrick Mohan in B47, just behind Ian Cutler in B14. And behind them is Alan Leighton and Hamish Stewart-Ross in B40, Think Positive. A wing and a prayer goes through, leading on lap 2. Now followed by Jeff Purves and Scott Ellis. Alexi is now the first of the 2 litres. Now B40 battling with B47. Assegai running better in this race, and so is Simply the Best. Cultured Vulture powers past, running well. And on board we can see Charles Burnett pumping the throttles. Second in 2 litre at this stage is R&R Motors. Followed by Sweet As and Nick Spence and John Ide, now in C70 Fenny Signs. Then past again comes Flipping Shy Talk, the only cruiser in the race. Commodore Ferries running steady after capsizing at the Southern Speed Race. Assegai on full power, but still lying behind Wing and a Prayer. Cliff Smith and Dave Tyrrell appeared to be going well. And John Miller and Adrian Jardine start their disastrous long lap. Alexi still first in 2 litre. And M2 third in Class 2. Peter Wilson still first in 1.3 litre. Assegai now takes the lead overall due to a navigational error by D4 during the long lap to Exmouth. Cliff Smith is disqualified after missing the start-finish mark on every lap. B14 Heavy Metal takes second in 1.3 litre, with B47 third. Newcomers this year are Trevor Burt and Alan Ward in C23 Powerhouse. Mercury Special was another on the list of disqualifications. Adam Younger finishes 7th in 2 litre. The Penthouse team had a temporarily unconscious driver, but they managed to continue only to be disqualified for missing the lap gate. Cultured Vulture finished 2nd in Class 2 behind Assegai. And at the end of the race, there were certainly mixed fortunes all round. On June the 5th, the cancer research race was held at Bournemouth in bright sun and moderate sea conditions. As the race gets underway, we can see one of the basic race entries, Desert Storm, trying to keep up with Sweet As, while Powerhouse drops back. As the smaller boats pass the pier, Ian Cutler and driver Stuart Riddle get it all wrong. As we see in the replay, it was a very nasty moment, but they bailed the boat out and were able to continue. Assegai chases the 2-litre boats at the end of lap 1. And Mark Shepherd with Chris Meering navigating are out again in the Mistress and running well. Powerhouse were leading 2-litre. And as another basic entry boat, Dirty Laundry, goes through, Christian Auger is next and as said on the day.
These are all coming through in a very strange order.
Dave Sperling and Mike Spinks running well behind C23. Nick Spence and John Billington making tough going on the offshore section. Max Walker and Graham Brooks revelling in the sea conditions suiting the monohull. But Mark and John Mumford not enjoying a rough race. Robin Parrish and Tony Davis passed the start-finish line to begin lap 2. Desert Storm running well, but not looking quite so good for X11. Dave Allenby drives Assegai slowly past the pier. But as we can see, no problems with the engines, so they then power off again. Stuart Riddle and Ian Cutler make it to the end of lap 2, still very damp. The leaders in 2-litre battle it out. And with Double M music, Fenny Signs, and R&R Motors following behind. From the Airs, Sarah Donahue and Julie Kondak in B82 Vulgar Vulture are finding the going a bit tough. Assegai's engines still looking okay. And Sweet As is struggling as the 1.3-litre boat B47 and basic entry Dirty Laundry are close behind. B82 still going out at sea. As Assegai crosses the line in first place overall, And B-47 first in 1.3. Christian Auger looks delighted, and navigator Patrick Mohan says he did it.
With these boats all of a sudden, coming from Scandinavia.
With the weather hot and sunny and light winds at New Haven for round 2 of the Ucoba Championships, Dave Sperling's Sweet As is gently lowered into New Haven Marina. The Allenbys check over everything. A newcomer on the circuit this season is Cliff Smith with his boat, Simply the Best. Mark Mulvaney's Town and Country catamaran also enters the water. As we make our way past the yacht club to the start line, the RNNI makes a welcome appearance. The race countdown. Assegai is very late starting due to a small engine fire. Then the smaller classes start in line abreast with the harbour lighthouse. B-82 performs a nasty stuff, Sarah Donahoe and Julie Kondak escape relatively unscathed, but have to call it a day. And so do the Mumfords, as Yukoba's general manager sums up the engine problem.
Dead.
Jeff Purves and Scott Ellis dominate 4 litre, but Colin Stoneman and Mark Bridges are not far behind. Commodore ferries are running well, keeping up with the Cat Fenny signs. Mark Mumford catches up on his tan as Robin Parrish flies past, leading 2 litre. Followed by Jeremy and Alistair Watts in Alexei. And they're followed by Max Wilker and Graham Brooks, but both boats were disqualified for missing a mark. Assegai wins again, and Cliff Smith takes 2nd overall. Peter Wilson and Christine Grayson win 1.3 litre. And as the fleet returns home, the trophies await the victors. In strong easterly winds with hot and sunny skies, the race gets underway with Charles Burnett in Cultured Vulture taking an early lead, and Richard Strutton's Sweet Dreams making its first appearance this season on the far side, with Simply the Best and Maxi Mailing closing in. This was also the first outing for Richard Carr's new Class 2 Cat, Lethal Menace.
Safety OOD, thanks very much, out.
Jeff Purves was in there again. The second start got underway once the bigger boats had finished their first lap. Colin Stoneman's Maxi Mailing not running at her best in the conditions.
That's northeast bound towards 7, is it?
B14 Heavy Metal were leading 1.3. Dave and Chris Allenby were ahead of Richard Carr and Charles Burnett.
We'll need to connect that when you do come back in. Not that you're coming back in yet, sir.
Lethal Menace passing the pier, but soon to retire. The 2 litre field pass with Sweet As through first, then Penthouse, RN Point, Roy Smith in Commodore Ferries, Matt Gardner and Wayne Curtis in C61. R&R Motors, Double M Music, City Offshore follow. Then Chromadex with Jonathan Lucas. Alan Layton's 1.3 litre Think Positive passes, followed closely by B14, and behind them John Moore and Nick Kayser in B87 Splendid. Lap 3 and the orders changed, with R&R Motors, Double M Music, then Commodore Ferries. Richard Strutton and Paul Hicks suffer boat breakage and have to be beached. Penthouse was running well, now in first place and looking set for 2 litre honours as Sweet As retires. And Charles Burnett running well at this stage of the race. A view of the navigator's cockpit aboard Culture Vulture. Things did get a bit hairy at times.
Japan, return to the marina, please, as soon as you can.
Passing Eastbourne Pier again was Think Positive, followed by Vulgar Vulture. Charles Burnett and Ian McDougall were now struggling with a badly trimmed boat due to fuel distribution problems with running 3 engines from only 2 fuel tanks. This battle was eventually won by Commodore Ferries as Penthouse had to stop briefly to repair a trim switch which dropped them from 1st to 3rd place. The winner in 1.3 litre was B14, Ian Cutler and Stuart Riddle. Roy Smith and Adrian Carter won 2 litre and Max Walker finished 3rd behind R&R Motors. C61 was 4th and City Offshore 5th. Assegai crosses the line in 1st place but definitely in trouble after hitting an object and puncturing a hole in the starboard hull. Jeff Purves won 4 litre overall and was awarded 10 minutes for helping Richard Strutton. Charles Burnett did eventually cross the line when the race was curtailed, but was disqualified for missing Mark 4 on lap 1. Chris Allenby was down below trying to block the hole for the trip back to the marina. Sir Mike Bellamy's start boat escorts them back just in case. Another hot and sunny day for the Bournemouth Grand Prix, and with the start line before the boats reached Bournemouth Pier, we see that Alexi is away first, then caught and passed by Richard Strutton in Sweet Dreams. Alexi comes through again, but are both caught by Mark Mulvaney's new trimaran as they pass the pier. R&R Motors running out on the far outside of the start chute in probably the rougher water. Alan Butters and Chris Andrews in D84 Castle Motors running well in second place in 4 litre. And as they come to the Boscombe Pier turn mark, R&R Motors and Commodore Ferries turn together, followed by the Williams brothers in RN Point and then Alan Butters. Chromadex is next, then City Offshore, and Jeff Purves in Thistle Hotels before the 1.3 litre boats come through. At the second start we see Assegai ahead near the pier and Flippin' Shy Talk heading off with Lethal Menace right behind. Then Cultured Vulture and the second of the cruisers, Onyx. Back with the smaller boats at the offshore turn, and we just catch D8, Town and Country, ahead of Alexei. Then come Steve Hoare and Jeff Lowcock in Slippery When Wet, followed by Sweet Dreams heading the 4 litre field, with Double M Music turning ahead of Sweet As, then Commodore Ferries jumping around the turn. R&R Motors is next to the mark with RN Point just coping with a heavy swell. Chromadex is next round, and then a fight between City Offshore and Castle Motors. Richard Carr and Peter Dredge seem to be running well in these conditions. Charles Burnett today elected to run with a 2-engine configuration as the boat is balanced better in rough weather, and the third centre engine can take a heavy pounding which can cause them early retirement. So with Lethal Menace ahead of Culture Vulture on the run up to the pier, Assegai again out in the lead as she passes the pier. And from the pier we see Penthouse passes first. Then Alexei. A battle is well underway between Double M Music and Commodore Ferries, and in the large sea conditions, the Cat's doing a good job in keeping up with the monohull. Nigel and Tim Williams come through next ahead of Pete Little and Dave Arthur in City Offshore. Then the trimaran of Mark Mulvaney and Dave Voice is leading 4 litre. And Chromadex passes, looking good in the conditions. The 1.3 litre boats approach the pier. With B14 passed first, then B47, followed by the jumping B40. Chromadex has had to retire with propeller trouble. Jeff Purves and Scott Ellis second in 4 litre. The Class 2 field head towards the pier, with M2 getting a little out of shape. Onyx passes ahead of Alan Webb and Nick Edwards in P69. D25, slippery when wet, a 4 litre Frode goes through but is soon to retire. Then comes Maxi Mailing, really struggling in these conditions. Halfway through the race, and Double M Music is still ahead of Commodore Ferries. Then R&R Motors comes past just behind Alexi. More engine problems for Charles Burnett as he tells his navigator Ian McDougall the bad news. Alexi meanwhile is still charging ahead, trying to catch Commodore Ferries and Double M Music. Mark and John Mumford are really on the pace, but John's holding on tight. Roy Smith and Adrian Carter are still going well in the conditions despite the occasional mini stuff. Assegai now with a clear lead after the retirement of Cultured Vulture. The Sweet As crew are trying to say something. City Offshore passes the pier going well in the conditions, followed by the rest of the remaining fleet completing another lap. Alan Webb in Flipping Shytalk has now passed Paul and Nick Gilly in Onyx. Alan Leighton comes past, but has a very nasty moment, and Hamish Stewart-Ross pats Alan on the head. Let's see that again in slow motion, and we can see clearly that after coming up on their side once at nearly 90 degrees, they then almost do it a second time before recovering. Maxi passes slowly and soon has to retire. The 82 with Sarah Donoghue and new navigator Debbie Cottrell also retires soon after passing the pier. Alan Butters, meanwhile, is having a great race, now leading 4 litre with the retirement of Mark Mulvaney in the Trimaran. Heavy Metal leads 1.3 with B40 second. Again, spectacular stuff from this team. Dave Sperling and Mike Spinks have problems and retire. RN Point, running well, finishes 5th in 2 litre. Lethal Menace looking good, but problems later forced them out of the race. Castle Motors still ahead in 4 litre. With Thistle Hotels behind Castle Motors. And the Allenbys still ahead overall. Alan Webb wins cruiser class. Jeremy and Alistair Watts win 2 litre. Ahead of these two, still locked in battle right to the line, but Roy Smith manages to nudge in front. Ian Cutler and Stuart Riddle collect first place in 1.3. And as Alan Leighton and Hamish Stewart-Ross finish second, they then try to take a well-earned drink, but Assegai takes overall victory. Well done, Alan and Hamish. Alan Butters and Chris Andrews take first place in 4 litres. Dave and Chris Allenby look exhausted after tough race conditions and head on back to pool. The 28th International Needles Trophy on August the 21st this year, also being run in conjunction with the Camden Trophy race for the smaller classes. Saturday, and the quay at Poole is filled with the sound of Class 1 boats testing their engines prior to the start on Sunday. Marco Capoferri heads off for a test run. Orsola from Italy, testing its Lamborghini engines. This Cougar Cat originally ran as Baguta and then Rainbow Bears with Steve Curtis, now in the hands of Adriano Panatta and Carlo Bodega. Tony Hamilton's new boat, Dog On. That's him. Alan Leighton's motorhome with his boat, Think Positive. Still in one piece so far after a few heavy races this season. Another Class 1 contender is Pagnosing with Antonio Giuffredi and Paolo Patignani. This boat ran as Paul Pico last year and is very fast, even with 2 engines instead of the normal 3. Saturday afternoon saw the boats off on a parade around the quay. Dog On now ready for her race in the historic class and powered by twin Lamborghinis. She's a 38-foot Bertram and ran in the past as Visions of Guernsey with Colin Gervais' Brazier. Richard Carr's Lamborghini warming up. Martin Mansbridge's King's Tyres with Chris Meering. We'll let Peter Bloomfield introduce the start.
The Needles International Trophy of 1994 for the European Championships Class 1, for the National Championships Class 1, and for the National Championships for Class 2. And over on the far side, we have Capitelli on the far side. Number 41 is Capitelli, and his in the lead
The second start with the Camden Trophy contenders gets underway.
And we're looking at 1.3 litre now. B47 goes by British Offshore, followed by the man who entertained us here 2 weeks ago, Alan Leighton. And we're looking at the young ladies now, P82, and the boat that won last week, 1.3, is holding up the rear, and behind him is the fastest boat in 1.3 litre, amazingly. That is Peter Wilson, B7. Look at them.
Pagnosin leads just ahead of Caffarel after the first lap. Jeff Purves has a helicopter escort at the end of his first lap.
So that's 104 miles an hour. I've taken the average speed of that first boat. Now we've got the world record, the former world record boat, Bristol Hotels. On the right.
Third in Class 1 is Panatta and Bodega.
And this is the boat that has won 18 consecutive races in Class 2, but today they've dropped that prefix.
Assegai passes, lying first in Class 2.
Class 1, and they lead the national championship there. That boat was designed
Followed by a hard-charging King's Tyres. Tony Hamilton and Vince Kane complete their first lap. GT Auto Alarms, fourth in Class 1. First of the 4 litres through is Maxi Mailing, overtaking Slippery when wet.
Which is a 4-litre monohull as well. So D25 is doing excellent to be up with that cat. Hayloft Restaurant, Steve Hall is second through there. They reckon they've been...
And first in 2 litre are the William brothers in RN Point, just ahead of Sweet As and then Commodore Ferries.
Good performance for them. And they are followed by Sweet As, Dave Sperling and Mike Spinks go through. And now we've got Roy Smith, and they're sixth. They are sixth at the moment, and they need to pick up some places. But you can see the trouble that monohull's having. In fact, those cats should be 1,
Mark
2,
Mulvaney again with 3 hulls instead of his normal 2. Town and Country is third in 4 litre.
tell us that this is a Lorne Campbell Trimaran. D8 goes through, but not...
Max Walker's Penthouse is next through, and behind them is C61 Mercury Special.
And again, you can see the purposing that monohull is suffering. And again, the poor a little bit too long for these conditions for C6. That's quick.
Lap 3 and the new leader is Marco Capoferri in Caffarel. With Giofreddi driving Pagnosin close behind. Thistle Hotels running first in 4 litre and Scott Ellis gives a wave. Maxi Mailing running well in these conditions. Third is Slippery When Wet, D25, missing the 5. Martin Mansbridge and Chris Meering having a brilliant race and finishing first in Class 2. Alan Leighton and Hamish Stewart-Ross having a calmer race today, second in 1.3. With Peter Wilson from Guernsey and Christine Grayson from Swansea, the winners in 1.3. B14 comes past on the other side of the boat in 3rd position. Double M Music wins 2 litre. Dave and Chris Allenby pass looking good and go on to finish first in National Class 1. Alexi finished second behind Double M Music. RN Point finishes 4th, Roy Smith 3rd, and Town and Country finishes 3rd in 4 litre. Vulgar Vulture has to retire. Doggone finishes the race and of course wins his class. Caffarel takes overall victory with Pagnosin second. Orsolo had to retire, so back on her trailer at Poole with the other race boats waiting for their recovery at the end of another year at Poole. Early on the morning of the race, in bright sunshine but freshening winds, all the competitors in their various classes await the start.
Well, it's a lovely morning. It is a lovely morning, yeah. That's why we
Fabio Buzzi's RIB, powered by Yamaha outboards, and Peter Armstrong's Phantom Amarillo in Class 2 with the 1.3 litre Vulgar Vulture. An amazing assortment of racing boats are gathered for this prestigious event. Tony Hamilton's Dog On and Charles Burnett's Culture Vulture are here with a Norwegian entry S75 Ocean Flyer running in the sports endurance class. Hannes Bohenks from Italy with Casino Tivoli, also in the sports endurance class, and P60 Velocity from Britain in the cruiser class. P62 Cicla Banca di Roma with their navigator plotting the course. They're the first we see on the water after the leaders had gone through. Two endurance boats pass, with Richard Carr in the middle, shortly before he had to retire with a seized alternator.
That's Carr.
Graham Peck is driving Cultured Vulture this time, with Ian McDougall navigating as usual. Fabio Buzzi running alongside Dog On. And a bad race already for the Allenbys as an engine blows soon after the start. High-flying Alan Webb. Peter Armstrong's Amarillo. With Velocity P60 driven by Michael Sweeting and Ben Mazer.
Oh, this is classic powerboat. This cigarette.
An old contender in the race is Tommaso De Simone, driving a 45-foot cigarette powered by twin Mercruisers.
No, it hasn't.
Oh yes it has, Gordon. Followed by Cliff Smith's Simply the Best. The 2-litre field go by on the other side of the boat, led by R&R Motors from Double M Music, Town & Country and Alexi. City Offshore running well. Roy Smith and Adrian Carter. And Rob Stewart and Vicky Lee in Snap-on Tools. Matt Gardner in Mercury Special passes safely, which is more than can be said for the Williams brothers in RN Point, who flipped their boat. Luckily they're unharmed, but have trouble righting the boat due to a full fuel load. Ursula returns to Cowes on one engine. At the end of a grueling race, BP Marine, driven by Andreas Ugland, takes overall victory, and second comes Roger Fletcher in Shockwave, the conditions ideally suited to this, the longest boat in the race. Third overall and first in sports class comes Casino Tivoli. And as the boats moor up at the winners' berths, the race has been one of the toughest, but without any serious incidents. It's been another classic for Cowes 1994.
and Yacht Club offshore powerboat race taking place tomorrow at 12:30. The offshore powerboat race being run in aid of the charity, the Leonora Children's Cancer Fund.
As the boats parade around Ocean Village at Southampton, this race has a special meaning for Lord Rumsey, patron of the Leonora Children's Cancer Fund, after his daughter's tragic illness. This event hopes to raise money for the fund. John Miller's bat boat is now in the hands of Colin Stoneman for this race. The fire engine doesn't float. Jonathan Lucas and Chromadex hope for a better race, and Tony Hamilton is here with Dog On. This is Saturday and the boats are lined up in the car park for scrutineering. They give the public a chance to see them at close hand. R&R Motors has engine problems and is unable to race.
We'd like to welcome Adam Younger here with his boat D19. Adam has had a certain amount of bad luck.
Adam Younger's new boat, which will be racing next year. No prizes for guessing Alexi here. A wing and a prayer performs brilliantly in the race to win overall. Lord Rumsey, after his trip out aboard Dog On, explains how close he came to getting off. On the morning of the race, all the boats gather ready and willing. Over now to Mike Spinks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sweet Air's Racing. Who's going to be number one? We are. Who's leading 2 litre champs then? Commodore Ferries. Right. Where are you? Get it. We haven't finished the race since now.
Roger Severy's first outing for this race. At the Calshot turn mark on their way round the island. That was a bit close for SGL Jet. After a lap of the Isle of Wight, Cliff Smith heads for home but retires before the finish. Alexi passes and goes on to finish first in 2 litre. B14 finishes first in 1.3. Another successful race for Dog On.
On the other side.
Roy Smith for the last time this year. Sweethouse Racing found the going difficult. As John and Mark Mumford show, they're not pleased with their performance. And as the racing season draws to a close, our onboard guest Dave Fromo says, bye.